All right, everyone, it's time to talk about the rise of Mamdani. Yes, indeed, within the New York City mayoral race. This is a huge headache for the Democratic Party. Link in the description, archived, of course. You should have gone with Cuomo or something like that. You should have gone with somebody who, at the very least, was reasonably sane. When your mayoral candidate, who probably will get elected, by the way, happens to be a self-declared socialist. I love the term democratic socialist. We'll get into that in a minute. When you have a candidate of that particular caliber, great for New York City, great for a place like San Francisco, Portland, someplace like that. There's no problem. Does this extrapolate to a federal stage? No, it does not. And this is something that was warned of by other Democrats who have been largely cast out of the party. You'd look at a Cinema or Manchin or somebody like that. They're considered sellouts, but they're attempting to hold some semblance of sanity within the party in order to actually be able to do literally anything at all. If you go to the far left, so I mean, at this point, you're to the left of Bernie Sanders, you're arguably to the left of AOC or somebody like that. And she basically just makes podcasts where she mixes drinks and drinks fairly heavily. When you go to the left of that, it becomes an issue because what works in San Francisco, what works in, deep blue regions within New York City, what works within Chicago does not translate to the swing states. The Democratic Party has stubbornly resisted attempting to even recognize this fact. They have stubbornly resisted recognizing the fact that basically the sort of policies that you have in these regions, they don't translate well to, let's say, Wisconsin or even a place like Michigan, which tends to be relatively blue until the Trump era, and then you have populism breaking out. They don't want to recognize this. It would be sort of like somebody who's a televangelist living in Alabama attempting to extrapolate their platform to a federal level. It's not going to work well. People will reject you. People will say, I mean, you're insane. What the hell are you talking about? Because people in those swing states, the competitive states, are not going to really jive with your platform. The Democrats have not recognized this. They have not learned their lesson. This is the whole problem for them. The party is an absolute mess. Now, the GOP has its own problems. You have a civil war, for example, between MAGA populism and the neocons, like the Mitch McConnell types, the pro-war types. You have that right now, but the Democrats have a much bigger civil war. And I've noticed, and I think that most of you have probably noticed this as well, the legacy media will fixate upon any topical disagreement within the Republican Party. For instance, Paul and Massey with regards to Trump's big, beautiful bill and things like that, and make a big, big deal about it. And you've got that in the news literally right now, but they ignore the Democratic Party and its absolute malfunction, total dysfunction. Uh, they can't do anything, basically, because you've got these far leftoids within the party that are gaining favor with, regional and statewide uh, powers, districts and Senate slots and mayoral slots and so forth, that don't actually vibe with the party at large. Now, I'm not saying that the party at large is really the right solution. If anything, the far left more describes the Democratic Party anyway. So, I mean, there's that, I suppose. But it's something that is found unpalatable by the average American. And by the average American, I mean someone who is independent voter. They're from a swing state. Of course, I come from a blue state, and I still find it unpalatable, so that should give you a warning sign. And they're the ones that you really need to get to vote for you. Democratic partisans are going to vote for the Democratic Party. As long as your candidate is reasonably charismatic, it's not going to be a problem. GOP voters, dedicated Republicans, are going to generally vote for the Republican candidate. Again, as long as the candidate is reasonably comprehensible and there's no glaring issues with them, and they're not part of an administration that has completely failed, they're going to vote for the GOP. This will probably be JD Vance. I'll be talking about this on my live stream later. Independent voters, though, are rising. There are more and more of them. People are abandoning political parties in the United States, something which, by the way, the founders of this nation would comprehend as a very, very good idea. Oh, you're abandoning the political parties. Well, we warned against starting them in the first place, so, no harm, no foul, basically. We want ideology. What are you actually offering us? What is your actual ideology? The Democratic Party's ideology at this point appears to be embrace socialism, embrace DEI, embrace tax hikes. That's going to go over well, by the way, for the average working man. And by the way, we want to start several wars. This makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And now you've got the mayor of New York is probably going to be Mamdani, um, and he's a self-proclaimed socialist. We have already rejected this political ideology within the United States. Democratic socialism is simply socialism that you have voted for, as opposed to socialism that has been imposed at the barrel of a gun. There is no difference between the ideologies, only the methodology by which the socialism was imposed. And socialism is basically just communism anyway. They just gave it a different term. So this is not going to go over well for the Democratic Party. In the end, I expect this to cause enormous amounts of collateral damage to the Democratic Party. And it's not even because there aren't Democrats there that are responsible, that are actually, coherent. There are some. The problem is the party as a whole is not comprehensible. It's not intelligent. It's not easily understood exactly what they're getting at. That's the whole point. With regards to the Democratic Party, your problem is these local races are going to be exploited by your political enemies to cast aside your party on the federal level as well. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Mamdani is probably going to win. It's probably going to become an AOC style embarrassment for the party, and the Democrats will continue to suffer. Well, the problem is, what if the Trump administration does fail? Now, I don't expect this to happen, but let's argue devil's advocate. Trump administration is a little shaky. JD Vance is a little shaky. I'll be talking about him later, by the way. Um, but they'll win anyway. JD Vance will become the next president of the United States simply because the Democratic Party can't get its shit together. I would rather have two parties worth voting for. This is all that I'm asking. Literally, the only thing that I'm asking of you is to get your shit together enough to actually have a comprehensive platform. I believe that my wishes at this point are probably in vain. Rather sad. That's about all. Peace out.